by miracle of sound.
Alright, welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. This is episode 5, our final episode of Shadows of Self, the second book in Mistborn Era 2. We did chapters 19 through to the end of the book. I am Midnight, your host, and I am here with Mythic.
Hello.
And Darkness.
Hello.
Alright, so let's go straight into chapter 19. We start with Wayne's point of view as he eats some fancy food at the governor's house. He doesn't feel too bad that Innate is getting targeted, as he felt that it was part of the job. You gotta be in charge, but also because you were in charge, people were more likely to come after you. The governor then asks to be in his room alone for a bit, which Milan protests about, but the governor doesn't listen to her. Wayne tells 2 of Innate's guards to go keep watch outside the room's window, while he and Milan stay at the door. He also tells Milan that he thinks Innate is trying to get himself killed to get Wayne in trouble with Wax. Wayne thinks that Wax will likely catch Bleeder, but he closes his eyes and listens to the conversations of the people in Innate's mansion just in case. He felt he'd be able to catch Bleeder saying a wrong word if she was here. He also hears Milan practicing the accent of the woman whose bones she took, and Wayne gives her some advice and is quite excited when she gets it correct. So what do you think about Wayne and Milan bonding over accents?
Crazy.
I'm telling you, Wayne should have been a conjurer.
I mean, that's what Milan says.
I feel like Wayne is a conjurer and just doesn't know it.
Can you imagine?
Or like part conjurer.
Secret conjurer.
Yeah, their mother was a conjurer, you know.
Oh my god, he's conjure blooded.
Oh my gosh.
No, wait, is that a thing?
It's not a thing.
Why not?
Because the conjurer
Why
can't have children that way. As far
They
as we're aware.
couldn't. They couldn't. Why can't they
Before,
now?
But now. Yeah, exactly. Can have
If the
half Kolas,
Kolas,
but you can't have half
right?
conjurer.
Like, why is it not the same?
Well, it doesn't seem to be as far as we're aware.
As far as we're aware, doesn't mean that it's not.
Now, or as far as you're aware?
As far as we're aware, it is not a thing.
As far as we are aware, Darkness, me and you. Midnight, on the
So
other
at the-
hand, she knows
So at the
everything.
current state we're in. Cool.
So they then talk about immortality a bit. Wayne says he wouldn't want to live forever as he likes the thought of having an end at some point. Milan, however, says she likes immortality, and that because she's a Khandra, she can become whoever she wants whenever she gets bored of her current self. She also mentions the contingency plan of the Khandra to kill themselves from back when there was a chance of Ruin taking them over. Wayne likes the idea of an escape plan. Milan then mentions that Wayne is wasted as a human because of how good he is at imitating people. My question here was going to be, do you agree that Wayne would make a good Khandra? But you guys kind of already answered that.
Yeah.
Also,
I think, like I said,
He said he
he's
doesn't-
already a conjurer.
he said he doesn't want to live forever, right?
Yeah.
But if he is like part conjure, he's kind of fucked.
Well, not if he could do the Khandra contingency plan thing.
Yeah, true.
But at that point, like, that just means that none of them,
Suicide.
like, they can all do that, right?
Yeah, they're all able to do that whenever
Yeah.
they want. That's what Milan says. So Wayne begins listening to the people here again and notices that the sanitation officer doesn't have enough of a university accent to have gone there for too long, if at all. He then hears an unmistakable voice and rushes outside to meet with Renette, who is being held up at the front door by the butler. Wayne eagerly begins to lead her inside, but the butler calls her a dust rat, and Renette almost shoots the guy before Wayne ushers her quickly inside. Wayne then asks Renette the last time she took a bath, to which she just replies that guns don't care if she smells good. Wayne, however, thinks she doesn't smell bad. She just smells like oil and gunpowder, which to him just smells like Renette. She briefly notices the blood in the room where all the bodyguards died, but Wayne doesn't talk about it as he notices she had brought bullets for Wax. His hand shakes, but he's able to put the bag of bullets in his pocket to bring to Wax at some point. Wayne then tries to invite her out to drinks, but she says she'd rather shoot him, and that Mizra wouldn't like it. Renette then brings up how upset the people outside are and that it worries her. Wayne replies that he'll need to look into it. He also tells her to go home and lock her doors and keep a gun nearby. Renette doesn't object, which tells Wayne how worried she is about the situation. So who do you think Mizra is?
God. The god of guns.
The god of guns. You think the god of guns wouldn't like her going on a date with Wayne?
Yes. It's gotta
I
be
thought
all
we-
about guns.
What was she mentioned then again?
So Renette says that Mizra wouldn't like her going out for drinks with Wayne.
Oh, that's her wife.
Or why? You think she's married? Wayne doesn't know about it?
Okay, I wouldn't say her wife, but maybe her love interest. Who knows?
Mm.
Now, if it turns out for some reason she has a daughter, I deeply apologize for that. What I just said.
If Mizra turns out to be her daughter, that'd be fucked up. Implying Renette is incestuous.
I mean, we don't know how this world
Oh my
works.
god. So we switch to Merassi's point of view, as Aerodol reads a writ by the governor to make him Lord High Constable. Marassi also tells him that the governor wants him to quell the rioting in the city, as well as give him a small guard, but not to stop the protests near the mansion. Aradel orders his lieutenants around before everyone disperses. Marassi follows Aradel, mentioning that there was something very important she still needed to discuss with him. Reddy suggests talking on their way to the mansion. So considering we know that Bleeder at this point is the governor, like she's being the governor, why do you think she made Aradel Lord High Constable?
Maybe because, like, technically, he doesn't not fit in the ideals she's going for, right?
So you think she's, like, if something goes wrong, I'd rather have someone who maybe, like, isn't close to Harmony be in charge?
In a way. Like, this isn't the worst person that I can put in charge, but...
What do you think, Mythic?
I don't know, honestly.
So Marassi thinks it
I
would
have
be
no
good.
idea why.
I mean, it also works out, though, you know? So.
I mean, yeah, it works out for the good guys. It doesn't work out so well for Bleeder.
Does it not? What if that was part of her ultimate plan, though?
I mean, we don't really know. We only really know what Wax assumes was her plans, because she never actually tells us too much besides the fact that she says that, like, she doesn't want people being Harmony's pawns. That's all she
Right.
really says about her plan.
I wonder why.
Oh, by the way, I have, like, deep hatred for him now.
Oh, damn!
I didn't like him before. I hate him now. He needs to be
Who, Harmony?
executed. Yes.
How do you feel about me
Survivors
saying this
all the
whole
way.
time that I'm a Pathian, considering I knew all this about her?
Survivors?
I'm a
Survivorist
Pathian.
all the way!
I'm still a Pathian.
Hey guys, Survivorist is the only religion without manipulation. Changed my mind.
The Lord Ruler was right.
You're still a sliverist.
Mm-hmm.
So Marassi thinks it would be good to talk in a carriage, but Aradil decides to go on horseback to the mansion instead. Marassi reluctantly gets on a horse as well, which is awkward in a skirt. She tells Aradil that the women's uniforms need to be more utilitarian, and Aradil awkwardly agrees. Marassi is glad that darkness hides her blush, as more of her legs than usual is showing. She thinks it's annoying that Alri and Ladrian had made speeches about how women should be ladylike, even positions like the constabulary, which, another reason for me to be like, fuck you, Alrian. Are you making people have to be ladylike if they don't want to be? So Marassi and Aradel then slow their horses as Marassi takes out the letters she had gotten from the governor's house, and hands them over to him. Aradel doesn't react to the content of the letters, just mentioning that Marassi has put him in a very difficult position. He also asks how legally she obtained the letters, and she states that she basically stole them. Aradel states that the people are right to riot then, and that the Lord Mistborn won't be happy with the city's position at the moment. So do you think that the governor actually wrote these letters, or do you think Bleeder wrote them?
Bleeder wrote everything.
We don't even know how long she's been there, though. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, they don't know if the governor or Bleeder wrote the letters. Because, for all we know, she could have been the governor for, like, months.
Yeah. How long ago was the governor's brother killed?
Not super long. I think probably... I'm trying to remember if there was a time skip ever after the governor died. I think it was, like, within the month. I don't think there was a main time skip. I'm assuming, unless I'm forgetting a time skip, that it was within a week or two of this, what we're reading currently.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think it's been super long. I think at most a month. Because, like, the brother dying is what kind of started them going after Bleeder.
But then they also had to get all the other information, like going to the freaking terrorist people, I think it was, or whatever.
Yeah, but he only really went to his grandmother for, like, half a day. He went and had, like, one conversation with her.
How far is that place?
It's in the city.
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes sense.
That's why I'm saying I think it was only, like, a couple weeks. So the question is, was the governor Bleeder before or after his brother died?
It was before.
Do you agree with
I
it?
would know. I was there.
Oh, you were? Were you
Mhm.
not? Yeah, I definitely think it was before, probably.
So we switch to Wax's point of view as he wanders through the fields of rebirth, Marewell flowers brushing against his legs. There are pathways and careful lines of flowers leading up to the mausoleum, flanked by statues of the Ascendant Warrior and the Last Emperor. 2 constables guard the mausoleum to make sure no one looted it during the riots, but Wax walks past them and inside. There was a woman inside who's upset that Wax had come in, but he just tells her to talk to the constables outside if she's upset. When the woman leaves, he finds a pit that is gated off so that children don't fall in, and jumps in after dropping a bullet. Once down in the cavern, he turns on the lights, knowing that schools often bring groups of children here. There were several rooms off the main chamber, and they had metal plaques with quotes from the originators. Some also had diagrams on them, such as Harmony's bands and the Bands of Mourning. There were also rooms dedicated to the words of founding, and books written by people of the past, such as Dockson. However, Wax found Dockson's books particularly boring. So what do you think about this, like, museum that's been made out of the caverns that the humans hid in?
That was cool. Who the fuck is Toxin?
Doxin was Kelsier's like best friend who didn't have any
Yeah.
elementic powers and did like all of the like
Oh my
strategic
god,
like
that was so
planning.
long ago.
Yeah. He was like the one guy who was like super against Elend through most of the second book.
Oh, I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Doxin. He was the guy who was like the like numbers guy behind the scenes of Kelsier, and so that's why probably Wax says his books are really boring because they were probably like just like accounts and like he says like legalese and stuff like that. He wasn't like one of the guys who was like out there fighting ever.
Yeah.
So Wax briefly looks into a room dedicated to the survivor before hearing voices and continuing on before he was caught. He moved past each room that was dedicated to each of the 16 metals before reaching the room for atium. He follows his steel sight to a side wall and pulls off the wooden paneling to reveal a lever. A door then opens up and he moves into the cavern beyond it, allowing the door to close behind him. Before he can light his lantern, a voice says they've been waiting for Wax. So at this point, who did you think was speaking to Wax? Did you have any guesses of who was there?
No, not really.
Do you want me to be honest? I don't even remember who the
Yes,
fuck was waiting.
always.
It's Tensoon. Tensoon's there.
Right! Right. No, I had no idea.
So then we go on to chapter 20. We continue with Wax's point of view as he stands still in the darkness, using his steel sight to try to see who had spoken. He could mainly only see the lines pointing to the door behind him, but he could just barely make out two faint lines for a moment. He then pulls out his gun and shoots 3 times into the darkness, towards where the faint lines had been. The gunshots briefly lit up the room, and Wax saw something inhuman in a corner. The creature tells Wax to light his lantern and lock the door before someone else tries to come in here because of the gunfire. Wax does as he's told, although the creature stays in the shadows and away from Wax's light. He correctly guesses that the creature is a Khandra. Eventually, Wax catches up to the Khandra and notes that it's in a wolfhound body. He states that he had heard about him, and the wolfhound Khandra sarcastically replies that he's so glad that Sazed wrote about him, and that there are plushies being made of him. So yeah, Tensoon's not a fan of the Sunni pups. Tensoon seems... Tensoon seems quite annoyed, so Wax tries not to bother him too much as he follows him through the caverns. So what do you think about seeing Tensoon again?
Awesome, especially since he's in dog form.
You like that he's still in his wolfhound form?
Yep.
Do you think he gets like money from those plushies?
It probably not. It sounds like he did not consent to them being made.
I would be mad too then.
He's like, I really don't want these plushies around.
I would be mad just because of that. Like, why wouldn't they give me, money? It's my plushies.
Potentially because they don't know that he's still alive or even that he really existed.
No, those are excuses.
So Tensoon then mentions that it was decided that one of the Khandra should show Wax through the caverns instead of letting him wander by himself. The rest of the Khandra were out-pretending to be priests to try to counteract Bleeder's attempts at chaos and distrust between the two main religions. Wax is surprised by the expansiveness of the caverns, but remembers that Sazed had connected them all together so that all the humans around the final empire had ended up together. He even sees a cavern that contains the basement of Kredik Shah where the Lord Ruler's hut had been, as Tensoon mentions that some humans in Luthadel had hid there. So what do you think about Rashek's hut being preserved because the humans had hidden the basement of Kredik Shah?
I feel like that was just a happy circumstance.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Wax also wonders for a moment if like the Well of Ascension's down there, but we already know that Harmony's perpendicularity has been moved because we got that little like note about it in one of the broadsheets. So eventually Tensoon leads Wax to a room with several pits where one is filled with ripped papers from the words of founding. There are writings in blood, and it seemed like Bleeder had written things like lies over parts of the text over and over. Other papers had other nonsensical writings on them, and Wax asked Tensoon if he went through the papers. However, Tensoon said he had not stayed in the room long as it made him uncomfortable, and Wax realizes this was likely the Khandra prisons that Tensoon had been trapped in at one point. Wax sorts some of the papers into piles, but eventually tells Tensoon that something is wrong with them. He thinks that there isn't a good reason for her to have done this, as she isn't mad in that type of way. Tensoon is surprised to hear that Wax talked with her directly. Tensoon is also surprised that Bleeder spoke as herself, as she rarely was not imitating someone. He says she had disappeared during the end of the world and then reappeared to serve Harmony afterwards. Tensoon also mentions that she and him are 2 of the oldest Khandra alive, as many of the seconds eventually ended their lives. So what do you think about the fact that all of the first, all of the seconds, and potentially even some of the thirds are all dead?
I mean, crazy. Thought they'd live forever, you know?
They're dead because of the contingency plan, right?
So I think the firsts were mostly killed by the seconds in the contingency plan. It sounds like the seconds were probably mostly killed during the contingency plan, and potentially, I think based on how Tensoon says things here, it sounds like any of the seconds that survived that probably killed themselves using what Bleeder does later on. Like, because they do the contingency plan, and then, like, when the world gets reformed and Ruin's no longer an issue, it seems like a bunch of them get their spikes back. And then, I guess, probably after that, they're like, actually, I've lived long enough, I just want to be done. Especially probably some of the seconds that were like, wow, I completely fell into Ruin's plans, I am a failure. So Waxen realizes that Bleeder's true goal is to take down Harmony himself. He asks Tensoon to ask Harmony if he had controlled Bleeder just before she took out her last spike, and Tensoon replies that Harmony had pushed her to do something she did not like, although he hadn't controlled her directly. Wax states that she's killed politicians to kill the people who speak for Harmony, and killed the priests to kill the people who see for Harmony. He then realizes that sending Wax here was to get him out of the way of what she was doing next. Wax says that Bleeder is going to target the Kandra now, that she knew Wax and Tensoon would be down here for her puzzle and out of the way. So what do you think of Bleeder's goal to somehow take down Harmony?
Based.
She has her reasons. Loki, I completely understand her.
She has her reasons, but also she's done a lot of really fucked up, horrible shit in her madness as well. I am not on Bleeder's side at all.
Okay, but like you said,
Bleeder's the
it's
right
in
one.
her madness. You know,
Yeah, I just...
you can't blame a victim from like lashing out when nobody's helping her.
She can be a victim and also have done things that are wrong.
Right. But when literally she has no type of help, right? She's dealing with her like this herself because she's trying to free herself from the person who's like making her do shit.
But she's also killing a bunch of innocent people, as well as making these, like, we see them sue, like, these horrific creatures using hemalurgic spikes. Like, she's like, human experimentation on these people. Like, it's
valid.
not okay.
I think it's just fine. What are you talking about?
No, I don't think so.
Everyone copes in their own way, Midnight. You need to understand.
Exactly.
I don't know about that. So we switch to Wayne's point of view as he walks between bonfires made from furniture, lighting a cigar from one of them and burning his arm a bit. He has stopped filling his metal mines as he couldn't afford to be sick at the moment, and just hoped he had enough health stored. He hands off the cigar to a random woman as he begins moving through the crowd of people, blending in with them until he gets to the front. The crowd was surrounding a fountain with a statue of the survivor, where a man was shouting about how the nobles robbed them. Wayne finds himself agreeing with the things the man was saying, thinking that he almost felt the need to string himself up even though he was usually only suicidal in the mornings. Before Wayne can leave, a survivor's priest comes up to talk to the crowd. As the crowd begins to calm, Wayne sees the first guy who had spoken sneak up behind the priest to stab him. Wayne tries to use a speed bubble to stop it, but he's too far away. As his bubble drops, the man stabs the priest with a needle that causes the man's skin to melt and reveal him to be a Kandra. The man shouts that the faceless immortals serve the nobles and are trying to trick them. The crowd instantly becomes rowdy and chaotic again, and one of the women recognizes Wayne. The man then points at Wayne, stating that a constable is here amongst them to control them, and Wayne curses silently as the eyes of the crowd turn to him. So what do you think about Bleeder counteracting the Kandra who are trying to quiet the protests?
They're just smart as fuck, even in their insane state, you know.
Yep.
But now Midnight doesn't want to give them credit.
Right.
So we then get to chapter 21, where we start with a broadsheet page. Pretty much the whole thing is just the continuation of that little Alamancer Jack story that we've been seeing snippets of, where he's like at a party. The guy who's really angry at him actually thinks that he's Wax for some reason, and Wax apparently had killed his brother, so he wanted revenge. However, Jack's like, I'm not Wax, actually. I would never be someone like him. And then everything's solved and everyone's happy and everyone claps. There's also an ad for wine and cigars that are recommended by Alamancer Jack. So what do you think about the fact that Alamancer Jack seems to like not like Wax so much and like doesn't like that he's being confused for Wax?
I wonder why. I actually do wonder why, actually.
Alamancer Jack seems to think he's better than Wax.
In what way, though? Like, he's not even doing shit. I mean, I get it. He's delusional. Maybe it's another bleeder.
Maybe Alamancer Jack is Bleeder. Yeah, 100%.
I said
actually-
another bleeder.
You know, he's just a different Kandra who's mad.
Yeah.
So we go back to Wax's point of view as he and Tensoon run through the tunnels of the Kandra homeland. Tensoon had told Harmony to pass on the information about Bleeder going after the Kandra to the other Kandra, but he and Harmony are worried it's too late. Wax explains that Bleeder is trying to free the people from Harmony's plans by making them rage and cause chaos. Suddenly they hear howling, and Tensoon is unsure what creatures are making that noise. They begin heading towards a different exit, but Tensoon eventually stops, stating that someone or something is waiting for them ahead. Tensoon again takes him in a different direction, telling Wax that he thinks that Bleeder has created hemalurgic creatures. Tensoon says they'll have to fight and leads him to a room with baskets of bones. Tensoon discards his wolfhound bones in seconds and takes on the bones of an incredibly strong man. So what did you think about Tensoon's room of a bunch of baskets of bones for him to change into?
It's like having a closet.
Right? Just changing
It
clothes.
is.
Exactly.
It's literally his bone closet.
The fact that he just can switch though so quickly is crazy.
Yup.
Walk in, walk out.
He's very fast with it. Also, what did you think of his strongman body? Hulking out.
I'm hulking out. It was something. It reminds me of when I think it was Saze that was doing that shit where he like
Yeah, he used his like ferrochemical strength
Yeah.
and he would like Hulk out.
yeah.
So soon, the half-wolf, half-human creatures that had dead eyes wander towards them from one of the tunnels. Wax is horrified and thinks that he needs to put them out of their misery, although he fires off a bullet to try to scare them away. The creatures seem unfazed, though. Wax then tries shooting at the creatures' heads, but none of them fall dead. Wax tells Tensoon that their skulls are reinforced as he reloads. Tensoon then grabs one by the head and crushes its skull against the wall. The other creatures attack Tensoon as Tensoon tells Wax to leave as the creatures have been made to be able to withstand bullets. Wax, however, switches to a shotgun, slapping one of the creatures across the face with it, before shoving the gun into the creature's mouth and shooting and killing it. The other creatures then leave Tensoon to attack Wax. So do you think Bleeder actually created these creatures, or do you think someone else did and she's just using them?
I think she was
I think she's
just
just using them.
yeah,
Yeah,
that gave
sure.
me a good idea, not gonna lie.
Oh, what sort of good idea did it give you?
If it really is somebody else using them, right? There's gonna be a hell of a lot more focus on hemalurgy than what there is already with the conjure, you know? You know who's delved into the background? Hasn't been like, seen in quite a while?
Yeah,
A certain uncle,
certain uncle in his
hmm
his cult group thing.
Yeah. I wonder what what would qualify a cult into like a cult if it's not scary ass motherfucking monsters.
They are stealing a lot of allomancers and potential allomancers. Do you think the set might be behind the hemalurgic creatures mythic, or do you think it's something else entirely?
I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be something completely different though.
What?
So Wax then kills several other creatures in a flurry of gunshots and pushes and slaps with the shotgun. Tensoon heals his wounds and rips one of the creatures in half. Tensoon then states that he'll have to ask Harmony if he failed by killing these creatures, as he's supposed to be Harmony's preservation, while Wax is his ruin, and thus allowed to kill. And Wax isn't a fan of being called ruin. He's like, what the fuck? Tensoon then finds a small spike in one of the creatures that potentially has a red hue to it, although that could just be the blood. Tensoon mentions that it was be the only spike for the creatures, otherwise Harmony would have too much power over them. Wax then kills one that he finds paralyzed by a shot to the spine before hearing more howls in the distance. Tensoon says he may have another way out for them, and quickly changes back into his wolfhound body before leading Wax away from the room. So what do you think about this spike that has a red hue to it?
Interesting. What else has red hues?
Do you think this is the same metal that Bleeder's spike is made out of, or do you think it's something different and like maybe it is one of the normal metals from the planet?
What are you talking about? Bleeder doesn't have any different kind of a spike. What are you talking about?
There's no description for bleeder spike, is there?
No, they just say that it's a small spike and it's a metal they do not recognize later on.
Okay, but I feel like if it were the same type of spike, they would have just commented on the red hue again.
Yep.
Do you think it's
So
something
it's different. Yeah.
different?
I think it's a different one, and I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe it is, and it's just like the combination or whatever that we were talking about.
I mean, yeah, one of them could be an alloy with a different metal of like the unknown metal and then some other metal. We'll get back to that stuff though when we get to Bleeder's spike later on.
Yeah.
We switch back to Wayne's point of view, who seems to have blended back into the crowd of rioters and pretend that he saw himself going off down a street. Wayne gets away from the crowd before going around the back of the mansion, knowing that he was out of Bendaloy. As he did, he heard a voice that had a slightly wrong accent and instantly knew it would be Bleeder. So at this point, were you expecting that Bleeder was the governor, or did you have no idea who Wayne might have caught?
I
You
have
know,
no
for
idea.
some reason, I wanted it to be what's her name, the other conjure.
Oh, Milan?
Yeah. Look, can you imagine a conjure impersonating a conjure?
That would be crazy.
Well, it wouldn't be crazy considering that Tensoon did it, but
That's true. She could have just taken a page out of Tensoon's book.
I mean, she does love Tensoon a lot, so
mhm.
I
So we
think the last meme I made is the best one so far.
So we switch back to Wax's point of view as Tensoon leads him to a cracked wall that seems to lead outside. Wax uses his increased weight to throw himself against the wall until it cracks enough that he can climb up and out of the tunnels. Tensoon becomes a mass of flesh and muscles with his wolfhound bones and a sack inside of him as he makes his way up through the cracks in the wall. He basically becomes Slug Tensoon with just a bag of bones in the center of him, which I just find really funny to think about.
Ew.
Wax has a slightly harder time climbing up to the surface. Partway up, Wax accidentally drops his lantern, causing him to be in darkness for a second before his eyes adjust to the dim lighting of fungus covering the caves. However, he does realize that he's climbing through the pits of Hassan. Eventually they end up in the sewers as Tensoon asks why Bleeder would want to distract Wax. Wax thinks it's because she wants to wait to kill the governor until she could become him and speak to a large audience gathered in front of the mansion. So what do you think about Wax climbing through the pits of Hassan to escape the Khandra homeland?
Flashbacks. Also, have you noticed I'm in a lot of these chapters?
Oh yeah,
Right?
there's a lot of darkness around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here as a spectator. They listen to our podcast, and I watch their lives.
Yeah, you're just a cognitive shadow kind of watching from the cognitive realm. Everything happening.
I'm the only one that knows where the perpendicularity in our world is, and I'm just like, just going through it.
That's what you have to do. You have to go through the perpendicularity. I understand.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's why you won't be able to be here to play Baldur's Gate with us at the end.
You're so right.
So then we get chapter 22, which starts the final part of the book, part 3. And we continue with Wax's point of view as he flies through the mists, landing on the steps of the governor's mansion and surprising the constables who are guarding the building. Aradel was there as well, watching some people erect a stage on the steps for the governor. Wax asks if there's been any attempts on the governor's life, which there has not been. He then heads inside and Marasi joins him, confirming her identity with a password. She then says that Wayne hasn't been seen for over half an hour, but Wax isn't worried. So were you worried about Wayne having disappeared, or were you like Wax and being like, no, he just does that sometimes?
Yeah, he just does that sometimes.
I like this about when Wax is like, he'll come back, right? No, I'm asking.
Oh, sorry. Can you repeat that?
Okay, what part is this?
So Wax just gets back to the governor's mansion
Right,
before
and
he
he's like,
goes in.
wait, he'll come back, right?
Yeah, Marassi's just like, hey, I haven't seen Wayne in a while. He was supposed
Right.
to be here with us, and Wax is
I
like,
love
he
that.
does that.
I love that he has full confidence that he's gonna come back.
To be fair, we
'Cause,
have
like-
seen throughout this book and the last book that Wayne does just disappear and do shit, and then come back being like, hey, yeah, I got all the information you needed.
No, right,
Mhm.
but that's like cool because that dynamic is just pretty cool. Like it's useful.
He
And
has
the
full
fact that he
trust in
doesn't have
Wayne.
to- yeah, he doesn't have to like always worry about him, you know.
Yeah. But then there's situations like this where it's like, maybe you should have worried about Wayne a little bit.
No, he was fine.
I mean, he was only fine because Bleeder wanted to steal his fucking abilities.
Nuh-uh. First of all, she said she didn't want to kill him.
She does say, though, that she's going to kill him, though.
But that was like after.
Anyway, so Marassi then mentions that she is proof the governor is corrupt and is worried that Bleeder is going to try to force them to allow the governor to die. Waxover replies that he doesn't intend to let that happen, and he'll make sure the governor is properly trialed in court. He then tells Marassi to check on Steris, and says he'll check on Lord Harms once he's checked on the governor, which he definitely does not do at any point. He's like, oh yeah, I'll make sure your
No,
dad's
not at all.
okay. Does not do that.
Mhm.
Before she
I wouldn't
leaves,
either.
Before she leaves, Marassi mentions that Melan is using the body of a guard with a sling so that Wax knows who she is. Wax then heads over to the governor's office, ignoring the guards who try to stop him as he breaks through the locked door. Innate is not happy about this, but Wax states that Innate would have ignored him if he was knocking. They then quietly exchange passcodes before Wax tells Innate that he shouldn't be locking out his guards, although Innate says that Wax is the only one who's been able to run off Bleeder previously. Innate then goes back to his speech, and Wax thinks it's a terrible speech, and that Bleeder probably knows that and wants Innate to give the speech. So what do you think about Wax dismissing how bad the speech is when it's literally just the speech that Bleeder is writing? He's like, oh yeah, it makes sense that he would write such a terrible speech. It's like, does it? Maybe it actually doesn't make sense.
No, not at all.
But what if it does?
I mean, he thinks it makes sense because all his interactions recently with Innate have been like, oh yeah, he's terrible at speeches, but that's all just been Bleeder.
What if she's just canonically terrible at speeches, though?
Well, no, I mean, she wants the speech to be bad so that people riot against the governor.
No,
She's
but
probably
what if
actually
it's
really good
not
at
her
speeches.
wanting it and she's just really bad?
Imagine. Her whole plan is actually that she is the governor and just stays as governor of the whole city, so that and then like slowly phases out the Harmony's religion. But she's just really bad at it, so she causes riots instead because it's just not going well. She actually wanted a peaceful takeover of the city, and that just didn't happen.
Oh no,
That'd be crazy.
that'd be hilarious.
Oh my god.
She's like, oh, I really wanted to tell you that I'm back, but like, I don't know how to tell you, so I'm just gonna like avoid every form of telling you until the very end.
She's actually not crazy at all. She's just like, fuck, everything's going wrong. I just go full Lord Ruler on their asses. We'll just create chaos.
It's just, isn't there like a freaking medal that stores fortune? What if she's just like storing all her fucking shit right now, and it just went bad?
Oh my god. She was storing fortune in hopes of like things going really well for her afterwards, and just miscalculated.
Also, sorry. No, you know what? I'll wait until they're like in that chase with the steel stuff.
Okay. So Waxen finds a wad of chewing gum on the windowsill and thinks that Bleeder had been planning this for too long. He draws his gun and spins around to find Innate also aiming a gun at him. Bleeder, as Innate, tells Wax that he sees too far ahead and she'd only needed a few more minutes. Wax realized that Bleeder had been Innate for a long time, since he had started all of this. Bleeder admits that the main guard had known she'd been the governor. She had killed him because Wax had gotten blood on her, so she needed a reason the governor was bloodied but not injured. So yeah, we've kind of talked about this before, but yeah, how long do you think Bleeder's been governor? Is it just been the start of this book? Has it been for fucking months?
Nope.
Like, how long has
Forever.
it been?
I think it's been a couple of months.
Forever. She has a closet of bones, and she just keeps switching between things. She's been there forever. The governor never actually existed.
I
Damn.
wonder if the governor was actually corrupt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if she's been there so long to make the statements factual that they were corrupt, but it was actually her the whole time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of asking about the letters earlier, was like, yeah, what if he was actually a really good governor? And like actually like a really good person? He would have gone after his own brother for being corrupt, but like he just never got a chance because Bleeder was like, nah, I'm gonna be governor now.
Right. And I mean, it's not like it doesn't reflect in the economy of the like city. We've seen it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it's wrong. Like it's happening. And also, if she were to have been working with that group, you know,
The set, yeah.
yeah, that would be a pretty good advantage towards them.
Mm-hmm.
If she could like provide stuff, you know, as the governor, without
Yeah.
it seeming too bad, you know.
Yeah, I wonder if the set knew all along that she was disguised as Innate, or if she just told him, hey, make the crowds rebel against him when he does a really fucking terrible speech.
Can we recap on what the set wants?
We don't fully know what the set wants.
What we know so far, though.
So, what we know so far of their plans is that they were funding their plans through that one Miles's group doing some crimes, as well as doing a whole bunch of like insurance fraud and financial fraud by like fucking up the houses that weren't working with him. And then also they've been stealing a whole bunch of women who are allomancers and stuff for some sort of purpose that we've not fully been told, but we're pretty sure is somehow related to like creating more allomancers and ferochemists. Like they're potentially, I think you guys said that maybe they want to create mistborns, maybe they want to create a whole bunch of like powerful twinborns. We don't really know. We just know that they've been kidnapping women, keeping them in some separate area, probably not even in the city anywhere, and that this has been going on for like probably like a decade.
Okay, but like, okay, first of all,
Huh?
Mythic, you're echoing a little. Also, technically, with the governor's help as Bleeder,
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't even have to be in a faraway location where they keep the women or anything like that.
It wouldn't, but based on what we saw in the first book, it seems like they definitely are keeping them outside of the city because Miles knew that Suit, Wax's uncle, had been leaving Ellendale frequently on trains, and as far as we know, there really seems to be very few of the actual set like hanging out in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it seems like they have some sort of base of operations that's like in a different city outside of like the main city, or like maybe even somewhere just like in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
And that may just be like not even
It's
because the
still a good
governor,
connection, though.
like even if the governor's with them, it may just be so that like the women can't easily escape to their families, right? Like if someone escapes, they'll be more likely to be caught if they're like not in the city near people they know.
I wonder, did they ever expose what Harmony wanted her to do?
What Harmony wanted Bleeder to do?
Yeah.
It's Bleeder says it later on in these chapters. She basically says that the goal was that like Harmony had always known that he would eventually like, because like he can see into the future a bit, like all shards can. So he knew that a bunch of shit was gonna go down because of the set later in the future, and he's like, I need Wax to hone his skills and like be the person, like be my sword. So he sent him. He basically encouraged him somehow to go out into the roughs, and then he wanted a Kandra there as basically Wax's bodyguard, while because he was like, as we saw in like the prologue of this book, he was kind of shit at the start at fighting people. So he sent Palm at the time out to be like, hey, keep an eye on him, help him like hone his skills and everything. And then Bleeder ended up, and then like the goal with the end goal of being, we're gonna bring him back to the city when he's needed to help with like all the bullshit that's gonna go down.
Manipulation.
Palm fell in love with Wax and was like, he loves it out here in the roughs. This is his passion in life. I don't want to force him back into the city when that's not what he wants to do, and that's gonna make him miserable.
Do you think
Manipulation.
Harmony took over? What's her name?
Palm, if we can believe Tensoon, which I believe we can, he said, and like he says that Harmony never controlled Palm, but he basically like told her like, you have to do this. And Palm being the type of person who was like the Lord Ruler's right hand, I think she was very in the mindset of, I must do what my master says. Like she was very, very into that sort of role. And so because she wasn't like encouraging him, like she basically had herself killed so that he would leave the roughs. So like she did what Harmony wanted, but he didn't fully control her. He kind of just like strong-armed her into it more than like actually mind controlling her.
Yeah. That's
Yes, boss. Yes, boss. I will do what you say because you pay my bills. Yes, boss.
But they should.
Manipulation.
I don't understand why. I mean, I get it. There's two sides of him or whatever. He has to balance it out or whatever. But like, it's crazy that he like has no hesitation to a situation like that, considering his fucking past.
Thank you. Motherfucker, you watched two other shards do the same fucking thing.
No, not only
and
that,
then you're
but
gonna go
also
do
his,
it?
like,
Come on, man.
he lost his like
His love interest, yes.
yes, and
Nope. It's like he forgot all about that, though. It's like it's almost like
it pisses me off when people,
he
like,
has. Yeah, I know. I'm now with you. I don't
I'm
like
not gonna
him
say
any
people.
anymore.
I'm gonna
I
say
hate him.
when beings get like power and then it slowly drifts off the like core material they're made of. You know.
Well, we'll get into
Like,
that
They
because
become
Melon and
manipulated.
in
No,
the
but
epilogue, Melon gets into that.
makes
So
sense because we've been over the fact that the shards do change the personalities of the people that obtain them.
yeah, as I said,
Yes.
let's get into this more. Talk about like whether we like or dislike Harmony when we get to, because in the epilogue, like Melon and Marassi kind of have a conversation about it. So let's get into it at that point maybe and continue until there, because that's where we kind of get into it a bit more.
So you're trying to control when and where I speak.
No,
Yeah, so
I'm
you're
just
trying to manipulate us right now, Midnight.
Wow.
I'm trying to do
That
things
is another side.
I'm trying to do things chronologically.
Maybe it's because we're already getting like a lot of her questions answered, and she's gonna have nothing at the end.
Oh my god.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. 100%.
So Wax notices that Bleeder's gun is aluminum and thinks that she doesn't want to kill him for some reason. So he shouts for help. However, when the guards burst in, they see him shooting at the governor and go for him instead. Bleeder instantly shoots down the guards as Wax tries to get out the needle Melon had given him. Bleeder is upset that she'll have to kill Wax and claim that he was the Kandra so that she can still talk to the people and free them. Wax then shouts for Melon as he launches himself at Bleeder. However, she slaps his hand away as Melon grabs at her legs. Wax drops the needle due to Bleeder's hard slap, and he instantly lunges for it again, but Bleeder uses her ferochemical speed to grab the needle and plunge it into Melon instead. This uses up the last of her metal mind, and Wax shoots her as Melon's skin droops and goes transparent. As the sounds of more people coming were heard in the hallway, Bleeder escapes through the window. So what do you think about Bleeder being able to use the like special serum on Meilon so that it can't be used on her?
That was pretty smart.
It was. I had also for some reason forgotten that it won't kill them. It'll immobilize them.
Yeah, kind of just like it kind of like slows them down and numbs them for a bit, and it kind of like makes them go transparent. It like fucks with their like I think ability to use their like ability to like transform into people and use those muscles. It kind of just like fucks them up for a
For
minute or
some
two.
reason, I was like, no, she's dead.
Yeah, no, it only kills humans.
Yeah.
Because apparently
I
it's like
kinda
some
wanna
sort
see,
of
though, how
substance
fast
that's
that is.
poisonous.
I kind of want to know how fast that is, though.
I mean,
Yeah,
considering how
fast
quickly
it's
it turns Meilon into like translucent, I'm pretty sure it would kill them pretty quickly as well. So Wax makes sure Meilon is okay before seeing some quivering lines in a nearby closet. He opens it and finds a bound and gagged Wayne inside. Wayne had been stripped of his metal mines and stabbed in the leg. Wax assumes Bleeder had wanted to keep him alive to take his powers with hemalurgy. Wayne then tells Wax to go after Bleeder, but first gives him the bullet that Renette had brought. Wax leaves Wayne to explain everything to the constables as he heads back out into the mists. So did you have any theories about what this bullet could potentially do to Bleeder before like we actually find out later what it does? Or did you kind of just have no idea what sort of bullet Renette would make to like hurt
No.
or kill a Condra?
No, I had no idea what it was. That's for sure.
No, I definitely figured it out. I didn't think it was part of the earring.
You didn't think it was forged from the earring, but you figured it was like
No.
some sort of like hemalurgic bullet.
Yeah, I thought it was another spike. Just because I was like, throughout the process of this, I was like, why not? Like, I get there's a process to making a hemalurgic spike, right? But why not
I
just
make a
like
hemalurgic bullet.
no, why not just like crossbolt her or some shit with the fucking hemalurgic spike?
Well, I think that the plan always was to spike her somehow. It's just they were going to try and use the needle to like kind of immobilize her for a minute so they could spike her. Because the thing is, the spikes are always
it
made
also-
of metal, so like they don't know what power she had. If she'd had a coin shot or a lurcher power, she could easily like push the spike away from her when they tried to spike her, because it has to be metal.
But also like I think about it now, and she definitely wouldn't have let herself get shot if it was like a crossbow, because you would have been seeing like the metal spike or whatever anyway.
Yeah.
Because he was like, oh, she didn't dodge because
Yeah, because the thing is,
Or
if you see
something
Wax
like
using
that.
a crossbow, it's like, why is he using a crossbow instead of his gun? Whereas if he uses the
Yeah.
gun, she's like, oh, he just always uses the gun. He's just trying to slow me down like he did last time with all the bullets so that he has a chance to grab me and just like slow me down while I'm healing.
right.
So like he kind of tricked her with it later on. But yeah, so chapter 23, we continue with Wax's point of view as he hunts Bleeder in the city. He eventually notices a crowd of people heading away from the governor's mansion instead of towards it. Wax heads over there and soon finds the bones and clothing of the governor in a shed, and thinks that Bleeder somehow must have changed bodies quickly, although she might still be transforming somewhere in here. He keeps his gun close, a special bullet from Renette in the chamber. Bleeder speaks to him from the shadows, saying she had truly come to the city for him and not just the people. Wax asks why, and Bleeder replies that Wax is Harmony's hands, that Harmony has cultivated Wax for a very long time. Bleeder then leaves without explanation, exploding out through the side of the shed as she had become a coin shot. Wax aims his gun at her, but doesn't shoot as he only has one special bullet. He then chases after her, thinking he has the advantage when using steel. So at this point, why did you think Bleeder was so interested in Wax? Do you
I
have
was
any
just
theories?
thinking they were the like his like they saw him as their polar opposites, so they were trying to like one up them.
So you think they kind of saw them as like a worthy rival or something, or
Rival.
like as a representation of Harmony?
Yep, as Harmony's chosen person. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw it sort of like that too, and it's mostly because they had discussed earlier, like, oh, she spiked that one freaking religious dude in the eyes, and then the other one in like a certain area. I was like, oh, well, I guess he's next because he has something to do with Harmony, you know. But
So you think she wanted to like kind of like make him a spectacle instead of just like killing him randomly?
yeah,
Fair enough.
because like it's not like Wax is unknown, you know.
Yeah, no, everyone kind of knows him because he's been now for probably what has it been, like a year now or something? He's been going
Right,
around
and
working
he's
with the
been like
constables and everything.
publicly fighting against like what's happening, you know.
Yeah.
So if that goes away, you know, way easier to mold people after that.
So we switch to Wayne's point of view as he finds the governor's bones in the shed. Marassi is with him, and Meilon is also nearby, mentioning that things are getting bad out in the city. Marassi talks to herself, wondering why the governor was killed. Wayne makes some stupid remarks, and Marassi tells him to shut up. Marassi then asks Meilon if she can become the governor, and Meilon replies that she's less good at faces if she hasn't consumed the body fully. Marassi, however, says it will be dark and she just has to fool an angry crowd, not people who know the governor well. Meilon agrees as long as they can get a good speech made for her. Marassi then notices Wayne pouting and worries that she hurt his feelings by telling him to shut up. However, Wayne is actually upset that Meilon had said that humans don't taste good. He asks her to taste his arm to see if he tastes good, since he can grow it back, which Marassi just sighs to and tells Meilon to start transforming into the governor as she works on the speech. So what do you think about the plan to have Meilon play the governor?
But I taste good. I taste good though.
I might have read that wrong then.
Why?
Because I thought that she offered her arm because she could just grow it back.
No,
So can he,
Wayne says
though.
he can grow his arm back if he stores some more health. He can't do it
I
right
thought
away
it
because
was
he's
like-
out.
Okay, but I thought she was like, you want to taste to see if you like, if humans taste good or not.
No. He wants her to taste his arm because he's like, I should taste good. But yeah, what did you think about the plan of having Meilon play the governor?
More manipulation.
They have to be dead for Conjure to eat them, right?
I don't think so. I think they can just consume them alive and it would kill them.
Bones.
Just fucking start eating people, bro.
I think
If I
the
were
whole
Conjure,
reason
like,
Conjure
like-
don't is because they had that whole like thing where they like in their contract where they promised they wouldn't kill people.
They have a contract now? I thought
No,
they
I'm
didn't
saying in
have
the
any contract
past. In
anymore.
the past, the reason why they never killed people when they consumed them is because they had the contract where it said they couldn't kill people.
Me being a Conjure in modern day would not be okay.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
Meilon,
because
Meilon has proven she has no problem killing people because remember she was like shooting people and fighting him previously. I'm just saying beforehand, like
Right,
they,
no,
they would
but I'm
always
saying,
like,
like,
only dead people.
my idea of being a Conjure and testing my limits would be to eat everyone on site. And just add them to my like stockpile of my body. How big can I get?
Oh god.
Go back into like the myth race type thing, but you're like sentient.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, how
Yeah.
big can I get? Can I get like a global disaster type of big, or
Gotta see how far your goop will stretch.
at some
Oh,
point there's gonna be
goodness.
the problem of like gravity clashing? But you know,
So we go to chapter 24.
can't just breathe.
Yeah, Meilon says later when she's gonna like hang herself as the governor that she can breathe through ways other than using her lungs. So they do have to breathe. They just don't have to breathe through lungs.
It's so weird. It's so weird when she tries when she
No!
hangs herself. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Why would you say that, Midnight?
What?
What? That they can
I
breathe
just
through
got
other moves?
flashbacks to D&D.
Yep, she can do that too.
No,
No.
We switch
I had
back.
forgotten.
Breathing through the cloaca?
Yeah. Anyways, so we switch
I
back
bet you breathe through your cloaca, man.
For anyone who doesn't know, who only listens to the podcast, we have a D&D thing where Darkness is a turtle, and we learned that
Oh, I was talking to you all right
turtles.
now because he's a conjurer, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, we learned that turtles can breathe through their cloaca. Some turtle breeds can breathe through their cloaca, so that's where this is coming from. Just for context, because I think
For
a lot of our
context,
podcast listeners do not listen to anything else
Watch our D&D games.
on YouTube. Up to midnight on YouTube.
Nope. Go to Twitch. Watch the VOD.
Well, no, the VODs only last for a month. I'm saying if they want to watch from the beginning, they need to go to YouTube.
Nope. Go watch the VODs.
If the VODs are on YouTube.
Exactly. Go watch the VODs.
Anyway, so we switch back to Wax's point of view as he chases Bleeder, who he notes seems quite good with steel pushing, even though Wax is much better. He stays close behind her and can tell that she is trying to flare her metals to try to get away from him. As he chases her, he notes that he is fairly sure she hadn't been the marksman that he had chased down previously. Instead, she must have just been wearing his mask to confuse Wax. Wax notices that she seems to be heading towards open spaces and avoiding tight confines like the slums and skyscrapers. He's able to guess where she'll go and catch up even more, aiming his gun at her as he cuts her off. So what did you think about how good Wax is with his steel pushing? He's like easily able to catch up to Bleeder.
I was thinking at that point, I'm like, is this like a savant situation?
It could be. I think it could also just be like
Jesus.
Bleeder has not had much time to practice because until she got this like special spike, she's never used Allomancy or Feruchemy before. So like it's not like she's had all of her life, all of her hundreds of years of life to practice. She's like super new to it.
That's true, but also like
He definitely also could just be a savant.
he's constantly using it. Like as much as Vin was like using it, not to her level because she was just like.
Well, he also
On
uses it in
death's
different
door constantly.
ways. Yeah, he uses it in different ways than her as well because the world is different now.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, there's like different situations, but he still uses it a hell of a lot, you know?
I'm definitely wondering if the whole, like, being able to push on different parts of the bullet that he does is a savant thing or not.
Yeah. Also, I was just coming back to the part where I was like, we're gonna talk about this in the like steel push, all that shit,
Yeah.
right? I feel like we kind of gone over this, but does the amount of metal you burn affect how like fast you're pushing something as well?
So they can do things. So generally, you can modulate it a little bit as we've seen, but they can also do this thing like flaring, which I believe like burns their metal like twice as fast, but gives them like a boost of power.
So if you flare with like duralumin too, then wouldn't that just stack though?
Yeah, so like I think Vin might have flared Duralumin once or twice. And I mean I think Duralumin technically burns really quickly, so I think no matter when you use it actually you're probably flaring it because it burns away like in a second.
Okay, but if you flare the metal that's not duralumin, right? But you're
So
also burning duralumin.
so I no, so how Duralumin works, I believe, is that it uses up all metals in your system. So I don't think you're burning them necessarily at the same time. It's just burning Duralumin burns the metals in your system.
Okay. Okay.
And I think Duralumin's like if flaring's like a times 2, Duralumin's like a times 10 or something like that.
Oh.
I don't know the exact math. I'm just kind of assuming based on what we
Yeah.
see Vin do in the first books.
Why
So,
don't
like,
you know the exact math? What? I don't understand.
because I'm not good at math.
Me neither.
That's not your strong suit? What?
It was my strong suit up until grade 9, and then it all went downhill from there.
Mine was backwards. It was downhill until grade 9 and then went uphill.
Once I started getting into statistics and calculus, it was all downhill from there.
I did surprisingly well there.
Lucky you, I did not.
I can't do simple math.
I
For
can do
some reason,
simple math.
my brain is like, this is like stupid. Don't do it.
When I was in grade 3, I used to do multiplication tables for fun. That's how much of a nerd I was.
I had a bad
So
situation.
nothing's changed. Got it.
Did you say
I had a
that?
bad situation in that grade for multiplication, division, all the like basic learning for math and stuff. So I wasn't really able to learn it correctly.
That's fair.
Yeah. Anyway,
So Waxen modulates his weight to give himself advantages in the air as she turns quickly to get away from him again. Again, he catches up and aims his gun at her as he asks her to let him take her spike out and have the conjure take her in. However, Bleeder says that Harmony should pay for his crimes, for the people he allows to die, before
Agree.
pushing off the bridge they were on and running away. Wax again chases her and levels his gun at her again. However, this time she drops her mask and shows him Lessie's face. So what were your thoughts the first time Bleeder revealed Lessie's face to Wax?
That she was just manipulating him like she did with
Like she
I
was
can't remember
with
what the
Bloody
other guy's
Tan's
name was,
face?
That's it. Yep.
Like, imagine if she hadn't actually been Leslie and she's literally just like, I'm gonna dig up your dead wife's body to, like, fuck with you. That would be fucked up.
the way I was interested in the fact that she was like strong emotions, like free us or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, maybe at first, because there was no confirmation, I was like, maybe she, is manipulating him and he's gonna like fucking snap out of some fucking trance or something that Harmony placed on him. And then he's gonna be like, oh shit, I'm on the wrong side or something.
It really doesn't seem
Yeah.
like he was in any sort of trance.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I was thinking at that point.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was like, oh, fuck. And then I hate it. I fucking, like, so I understand, like, she's done horrible stuff, but also the fucking fact that she didn't, like, deal the cards herself, but others dealt it for her.
Mm-hmm.
And it still affected her in a way where, it drove her to this path. And I was like, I can't handle this. Like, she sounded
It's all
like,
Harmony's fault.
yeah, no, I was like,
It's all Say's. Say's fault. Everything Say's his fault.
you
Always.
are not my god no more.
So we switch to...
I mean, he was never my god, so.
We switch to
neither.
Merassi's point of view as she notes that she hides the fact that the governor is dead from Aradel and the other constables. Aradel paced nervously as Melan took the stage to begin addressing the crowd as innate, which Merassi thinks she does a brilliant job of. The crowd quiets as Melan begins the speech, and Merassi quickly realizes she and the crowd are being soothed. Merassi instantly thinks that the set are the ones soothing the crowd, and that they likely have a rioter as well. She glances around at her potential allies for who to talk to, and eventually settles on Reddy. She tells him that there is a soother, and he doesn't agree at first until she prompts him to realize that he doesn't seem to hate her as much as usual at the moment. He agrees to get a squad together, and Marassi spots a carriage in a nearby alleyway that likely had the Alamancers, as they wouldn't want to be part of the crowd that they'll eventually riot. So what do you think about the set being here, soothing and rioting the crowd?
Why would they ever do that? Why would they ever manipulate a crowd when they literally don't need it? The speech was going to do that by itself.
Yeah, right.
Apparently Bleeder didn't trust herself to do a good enough job to do it on her own. She needed some extra help from Alamancers. So that was the end of that short chapter. We go to chapter 25. Switch again to Wax's point of view as he gets extremely angry at seeing Bleeder using Lessie's face. His hands shake as he aims the gun at her, just furious that Bleeder had dug up Lessie's corpse. Bleeder states that she wishes
Yeah, totally.
that she didn't. I mean, she probably. No, I think she probably did the same thing she did with, like, that farmer that they mentioned, where she probably just let herself be buried and then dug her way back out.
Buried?
Buried alive, yeah.
Yeah, buried.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally buried.
I say it like that too. Not gonna lie.
It's a you. That's how you say it.
Buried.
Yeah. Bleeder states that she wishes she didn't have to use Lessie's face, but that strong emotions free them from Harmony. Wax finds that he can't shoot her, and he reluctantly lowers his gun as he wishes he had his earring in so that he could speak to Harmony. So what do you
Yeah,
think?
why would you want to speak to that fucking manipulative asshole?
So what do you think about Bleeder not wanting to use Lessie against Wax, but feeling like she had to?
I agree. It was definitely something she had to do.
What was the question?
What do you think about Bleeder not wanting to use Lessie against Wax, but that, like, she felt she had to?
Well, she did have to.
Mhm.
Like, it's literally, like, it didn't work out, but, like, you know, it had an effect, and a very strong one.
We then switch to Marassi's point of view as she, Reddy, and 11 other constables make their way into the alleyway to surround the carriage. They have on constables' helmets that are lined with aluminum to block out the soothing. Reddy takes off his helmet for a moment to confirm the soothing is coming from the carriage before putting it back on. He then takes out a dueling cane, as do the others, as a gunfight wouldn't work near such a large crowd. Reddy then tells the constables to keep their helmets on and asks Marassi to stay back since she isn't a field constable. They then rush the alleyway but are instantly blocked by men in black outfits that come out of a doorway in the alleyway. The group of men had guns, but they also switched them out as they think the governor is still Bleeder, and they also don't want the crowd to notice the fight. So what do you think about these constable helmets being lined with aluminum?
It's actually really smart.
It is.
I love it. I love all these, like, aluminum lined hats and everything. It's like, here, have some tinfoil hats, protect you from the mind control.
You know who would have a horrible time in this universe?
Who?
Knights. Just knights in general.
Oh. Like their plate
Because it's all
armor.
metal. You mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that was an issue in Era 1 where, like, Vin would just throw people around by their armor.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I miss the glass daggers and stuff.
I know, I miss the glass daggers too. We switch back to Wax's point of view as Bleeder plays Lessie, wondering if she should have come to Wax right away, but also knowing how much this hurts him. Wax grabs her by the throat as she continues talking, stating that she'll probably have to hurt Wax for his own good. She also mentions she'll have to kill Wayne as he also belongs to Harmony. Wax suddenly pushes Bleeder away and lifts his gun, but Bleeder pushes his gun away with her allomancy. Wax then shoves her off the bridge and she grabs him, causing them both to tumble down into the mists. She also shoots him in the leg with her aluminum gun. As they fall, he hits a part of the bridge with his leg, causing him to scream in pain. Wax instantly begins to try to search for his gun, but he isn't sure where it fell. Bleeder lands on the ground as well, and red light from the burning city behind her lights her up. So what do you think about Bleeder also claiming that Wayne is controlled by Harmony?
I mean, I agree. He's a conjure. What darkness.
I'm trying to think of all the stuff that, like, we've seen about him that would give us an idea.
About
you know?
Wayne?
Yeah.
He was spoken to at one point, but thought he slammed his head into some fucking shit.
What if no, deadass, what if he's a, like, conjure, half conjure, or whatever the fuck, right?
That's what I'm saying.
And then he got, like, talked to or whatever. And then he just slammed his head and the spike fell out.
The thing is, though, he'd have to have the weird spike because he has ferrochemy and allomancy. Like, he can't be a normal conjurer if he has the powers.
What's stopping us from assuming that, though?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is that
us from saying
Harmony...
that he didn't slam his head into one of those spikes.
Maybe, because, yeah, Harmony claims that he's never seen this metal before.
Okay, but also, if you have more than, like, the necessary spikes to speak to him, would that mean that you're still out of his control, or...?
No, the more spikes you have, the more under control of Harmony you could be. Like, the
so
more
it would
easily
have to
Harmony
be
can
that
control
one
you.
special spike.
But then he'd be mad because he wouldn't have proper sentience unless like
Okay,
this
but like
Condra
He is
hybrid.
define the type of
What are you
mad that
talking
he
about?
would
He is
be.
mad.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like he's not normal.
But he's
It's
perfectly
been
normal.
stated numerous times it's not normal.
He's so normal. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
The man can like become anyone. He's not normal.
So we switch back to Merassi's point of view as she watches the constables and sets men fight. She also can see the crowd of people listening to Melon's speech.
Wait!
Oh.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. Right,
Yep,
but if we're going
Why? Why are
through
you
like
sorry?
the fact that half conjures are like a possibility, right? Why couldn't he just get like fairy chemi from that, or like allomancy?
he's
Because
half
one
conjure.
parent would be a conjure, right, and the other one would be like a normal fucking person with like some sort of metal power.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, it would be if this Condra hybrid existed, it maybe could be possible, but it would be highly unlikely because he would have had to have the one human parent also be like have both allomancy and ferochemy genes, and then somehow get both of those from his one human parent.
It's not unlikely though. Like
It's-
we've had
it would be highly unlikely to get both of those powers from one person, considering it's supposed to like the powers are supposed to kind
Rare.
of decrease through the generations.
and
I'm not saying it's impossible, but it would be highly unlikely.
so yeah, but I mean, as long as it's possible at this point in these books.
Yeah, because the reason why Wax is a twin-born is because he has a fully noble parent and a fully terrace parent, which, assumingly, Wayne, if he's not a Condra hybrid, has the same. Like, all twin-borns would have a noble lineage parent and a terrace lineage parent.
So if it's a twin born, it would get washed down if they have a child.
Yeah, so it's unlikely that Wax would have twin-born children if he had children, unless, for example, like technically if he marries Steris and had children with her, she also has an allomancy line, so they could technically get allomancy from Steris's line and the ferochemy from Wax's line, but it would be very unlikely that they would get both powers from Wax's line. Like, it'd be an extremely small chance.
I'd love to see twins. Like a story about twins in this, where one is like an allomantic person, the allomancy,
One's
and the other one's
ferochemist.
ferochemy.
Mm,
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, darkness. That would
Oh
be
my god.
interesting.
And the ending could be them spiking each other.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. No, they're gonna spike their horse. What are you talking about?
No, that's my story. Mine. Also, don't bring up horses with who was it, Wayne?
Horses don't like Wayne very much.
No, I wonder why.
Why? Yeah.
They can tell he's a Condra.
I wouldn't
Well.
be surprised.
I wouldn't either, to be honest.
It's meant to be. Midnight's just trying to deny it because she knows what happened.
Yep. She knows we're right, and she's trying to throw us off the trail. You know, it's like
I'm
every
not
other
saying
time that
I'm
I've
not
been
saying
right
you're
about a
wrong. I'm
theory.
just saying it's unlikely based on the information we have.
Midnight.
Mhm.
Midnight.
I
Oh
didn't
my
say you're wrong.
god. The fact that how many unlikelies have happened in these
Unlikely,
books.
unlikely, unlikely.
Right. But in the end, it all ends up somebody manipulating those fucking low percentages.
That's
into a
true. Maybe
bigger
Harmony
percentage.
somehow
I wonder who
manipulated it.
manipulated it.
Maybe Harmony manipulated it. That's why
wonder.
Wayne's one of Harmony's people.
I feel like every time Midnight's like, no, it's not this, my fucking blood pressure rises.
I'm just going with what you guys know
Hey.
so far.
Darkness, you have to have blood to have your blood pressure
Oh my
rise.
Anyways, so we're back watching the fight. Melon's speech is making the people get restless. Melon's voice didn't sound authentic enough, which wasn't Melon's fault since she hadn't had much time to practice the governor's voice. The crowd begins to shout at Melon, either being rioted or angry enough to overcome the soothing. So yeah, Melon apparently gets a bit caught up in her role here. And is being too much like Bleeder's version of the governor. What do you think about that? How she's like really not helping anymore.
Okay, but she was like, she's like, this is the
She's
time of her
method acting.
life. You know, she's on the spotlight. She needs to give it her all.
She's method acting, and her only
Yeah.
source of inspiration is Bleeder innate.
She makes a great one. Oh, nice.
So Marassi then tries to get to the carriage, pretending to try to help one of the constables before pretending to be hit and falling to the ground. Reddy curses her, but doesn't come to her aid. Marassi then crawls along the ground until she gets to the carriage, but it's guarded by two men. Marassi plays dead nearby and flicks on and off her allomancy to confuse the guards as the fighting seems to stop and start repeatedly. The men then hurry off to the fight to warn the others of a Metalborn, and Marassi uses this time to get into the carriage. Inside is a man and woman, both in fine clothing, with their eyes closed as they concentrate. Marassi levels her gun at the woman, and the woman opens her eyes and quickly nudges the man awake as well. Marassi threatens them, but says she doesn't want to use the gun, as she tells the men and woman to stop the pewter arms from hurting the constables. So what did you think about the way Marassi got into the carriage?
I mean, I've stated it numerous times. Marassi is super smart.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I had a whole pause because I was just thinking about it, right? How would this work? I need her to be suspended in the air.
What?
Oh, what? Oh my goodness.
So I'm trying to find a way to keep her safe, right? From outside sources where she can feel comfortable enough to accelerate time like by fucking hundreds of years.
Oh my gosh.
Where like she won't have to worry about fucking somebody bulldozing a fucking building over her or some shit.
She just needs to go hide in the Conjure homeland.
But you don't know how the fucking climate's gonna change in 100 years.
Yeah, but she'll be down in the caverns. It'll be fine.
And then she'll be buried forever.
No, Tenzin will take care of her.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay. You first of all, Tenzin
Sensu can't
has
even take care of himself. What are you talking about?
exactly. First of all, yes. We're not gonna come here and act like precautions haven't been destroyed in like seconds in this universe, right? So I was just thinking the safest place to be is in the air.
I don't
Yeah.
know about that.
Safest place to be is in the air. 100% darkness. I agree with you.
So like, what if she just gets on a drone? No, but I
Uh,
was just thinking like, I still want her to be like
around for Air 3.
not that. Well, yes, but also that's like an after effect,
Hmm.
like aftermath.
Mm.
I want her to have
Aftermath.
like the last resort of I got a speed of time with this like bad person, you know, right here with me, and hopefully by the time we're out, they have a way to defeat them. Sort of
Mm.
situation, which she kind of did with the
With Miles, yeah.
freaking yeah, but still, like I wanted on a large scale. Like I wanted generations to pass, you know?
So we switch back to Wax's point of view as Bleeder shouts for Wax to stop obeying Harmony. Wax sees his gun nearby and lunges for it. Bleeder aims her gun at him but doesn't shoot. Wax says that Bleeder is wrong about him as he watches her cry, stating that he is Harmony's sword, not his hands. He then shoots Bleeder with the special bullet from Renette that was forged from his hemalurgic earring, causing her to be able to be controlled by Harmony again. Bleeder screams as she realizes what is happening. So yeah, what did you think about Wax shooting Bleeder with a hemalurgic bullet?
She did not deserve that.
I mean, knowing what I know now, yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, at the time, that was the plan from the start. He's like, we need to get her like sane again
Okay.
and like able to be controlled.
But she did not deserve that. She could have just gone to jail.
They can't bring
She
her
could have gone to
jail.
Conjure jail.
Go to the
Wait, no.
pits.
First off, yeah. But first off, like they should have known what was going to happen when Harmony could take over again. Like with all of her ranting and raving about how she didn't want to be controlled by Harmony, like come on. Of course she's
She's
going to
cyanide
commit
pilled
suicide.
herself.
Mhm.
Exactly.
I
And like,
mean, Wax says at one point, I think before he realizes who she is, that like it's probably for the best that she just kills herself, considering all the horrible things she did.
wow.
He literally says like, I'm not
Yeah.
honestly
Yeah,
that
yeah.
upset that she's killing herself. So then we go to chapter 26, where we switch back to Marassi's point of view as she and Reddy bring the soother towards the crowd of angry people. Marassi tells the woman to soothe the crowd as Melan continues to try to appease the people with the speech Marassi had written. The woman insists she didn't do anything wrong and was just listening to the speech, but Marassi ignores her. Instead, she focuses on Melan getting a bit too good with her role as innate and beginning to annoy the crowd more as they didn't listen to her. Suddenly, Aradel goes up to Melan and points his gun at her. Marassi tells the soother if she soothes the crowd, she'll have immunity for what she's done tonight, and the woman agrees, causing a hush to fall over the crowd. Aradel then announces that he is arresting the governor for corruption and exploitation. Marassi calls Aradel brilliant as he begins speaking to the crowd, stating that he works for the people and that there are ways to have change without rioting and looting. He also says he's going to arrest other corrupt lords and ladies tonight, which Marassi thinks is a good way to channel the anger of the people. So what did you think about how Aradel took control of the situation?
I don't know, but I can tell you right now, I feel like the anybody who can riot and soothe is definitely a what's it called, a Pathian, because they're manipulative.
Wow.
That's good.
I'm pretty sure the set all potentially follow Trell. They kind of
Nah,
mentioned Trell.
totally
and stuff.
Pathians.
It's-
They're all Pathians. They're just saying that. They're all Pathians.
Did you like how Aerodel took control of the situation, Darkness?
It was interesting. I didn't expect him to do all that. Do you get paid enough for this? But
Probably not. So we switch to Wax's point of view as he walks over to Bleeder as she writhes on the ground, crying as she states that Harmony is in her head again. Her body trembled as she told Wax that she was forcing herself to die, as the Conjure are able to when they want. Wax thinks that maybe this is for the best after all that she'd done. Bleeder then begins stating things that only Leslie would know, and tells him to ask Harmony why he would send a Conjure to watch over Wax. She states that she refused to manipulate Wax into going back to the city as she knew how much he loved the Roughs. Wax realizes this is really Leslie as she tells him to ask Harmony why he would let Wax kill her. Wax screams and cries as Leslie dies in his arms. An hour later, Tensoon appears in his wolfhound body. He confirms that Leslie had always been Palm, the Kandra, and that Tensoon had been forbidden to tell Wax about it. He also states that Melan had not been told about this. Wax then says he killed her
Forbidden
again.
by who?
By Harmony, because he knew it would
Forbidden
fuck Wax
by
up.
who? Exactly. The manipulative motherfucker.
I thought Seize was one of your favorites.
Sorry, what did you say, Darkness?
I thought Seize was like a character that Mythic liked.
I did like Says until now. Okay, wait. First off. It's like, for all those people who watch Star Wars, it's like I enjoy Anakin. I like Anakin and like his character development until the very end. But I liked his character development, and I don't like Darth Vader. Right? It's like that. They're the same person technically, but they're not because something changed them. So I like Sazed. Sazed was a great person.
You just don't like Harmony?
I don't like Harmony. Not anymore. I used to like Harmony.
I just wanted to be publicly known that I like both versions.
That you've always
Anakin
you like
and
them.
Darth Vader.
You like okay. Anakin and Darth Vader. Gotcha.
I'm gonna say I like both Sazed and Harmony.
Oh, well, that's irrelevant.
Of
'cause we're
course you
not
do.
talking about that right now.
Yeah.
I'm pro Harmony.
Of course you are. Wait, I thought you were the whatever.
My true god is cultivation, but I'm pro Harmony.
It's cool how they. You know, it's funny because I want. This is not gonna make sense at all. But I want Chell to be like Cultivation's real name.
Cultivation's what?
Ruin, he says. So like cultivation's like
real,
opposite.
No.
Oh,
they're
real.
like, yeah.
Oh,
the real
sorry.
name.
You want Trell to be cultivation, basically.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I think I did tell you guys that like Trell is not the name of a shard, but it doesn't mean that it's not a shard using a different name.
Mm-hmm.
Like no, like you, like the host. You know what I mean?
Oh, you think it might be the name of her vessel?
Yes.
That's possible. Trell could be the name of a vessel.
Because like, why would they stop using their names? You know?
Yeah, they seem to use their names, I believe, with the other shards and stuff, but they don't use their name because like Preservation and Ruin called each other by their like vessel names, and I think Wit even calls them by their vessel names because he knew them before they became shards. So like,
Fucking shit.
yeah, so like people who knew them for like a long time, like it's like calling someone by like their title versus their like name.
Right.
It's like you wouldn't call like a king or queen by their full name unless like you were close to them.
All right, but do you call or do you say your teacher's first name?
In elementary school, you do not. You're not really supposed to in high school, but I did to some teachers in high school. But in university, mostly we did call them by their first name.
Uh-huh.
I just didn't talk to
It
my
depends on the
teachers.
situation.
You don't talk. You didn't talk to your teachers. What the
That's what I
hell?
need them for if I could do my work.
Oh my goodness! You
Yeah,
just
it
let them
kinda
talk to
went-
you and you didn't listen. Got
I
it.
think
No, I never said I didn't listen. I just said I didn't talk to them.
I think in school it went from in like elementary school it was like Mr. or Mrs. last name. In high school we literally just called them without the Mr. or Mrs. but called them by their last name. Like I called my teacher Mr. Jones by Jones. That's how I called him. And then university was my first name.
Jones.
Yeah. And then university was like first name. It's like as you got older it was like slowly less and less like respectful language.
Once you became an adult, once you became an adult, you were allowed to use their first name.
Yeah.
Which is even weirder to me, but sure.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So, what did you think though about the fact that Bleeder was actually Leslie? What did you think about that reveal?
Who the fuck is Leslie?
It was like, what?
I'm joking. It's a joke.
What were you gonna say, Mythic?
Oh, I was gonna say it's like when we're gonna use another Star Wars reference, but it was like to me, it caught me off guard, like when Darth Vader was like, "I am your father" to Luke.
I am your wife.
I'm
Wax,
sorry?
I am your wife.
I've
I was
always
I
been
was
your
still in the
wife.
Star Wars world, so that sounded strange.
I am your
I would have been
wife.
very concerned.
I am your wife's brother's cousin's best friend. So what does that make you? Nothing.
Nothing. So you are
Uh,
nothing.
Yeah, it's a pretty big
Oh, my
revelation where you're
goodness.
suddenly like, oh shit, Wax's wife was a Condra the whole time.
Yeah, I know, manipulating motherfucker. Fucking Harmony.
Harmony
Been
used to like.
70 billion fucking memes now about this bullshit.
It's the fact that he's like, oh my god, this pisses me off. No, actually, because he's like, I can't be doing too much, you know.
Yes, and then he's manipulating the fuck out of him the whole
From the
time.
very beginning, it's ruined all over
God.
again, as well as
Always
freaking
been a lie,
preservation.
bro.
At this
Ugh.
point,
Well, no, they both, preservation and ruin both did that.
that's what I'm saying. It's
technically.
ruin and preservation all over again.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
At this point, what I feel like should happen is I need
Manipulating
all
the
the
chosen
shards
hero.
together,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
and I need to eliminate them. Who the fuck needs gods when people can have free will?
Oh God.
Yeah,
But-
that's right. I'm with Bleeder now.
Anarchist. Oh my God, you're an anarchy. But that just reminds me of Critical Role because that's exactly what their season 3 is about. But eliminating the gods in the universe, and then what would that
That's
create
valid.
for humanity? Yeah, I mean, it is and isn't. Like, there's a lot of things, but there's a lot of give and take. Obviously, it's like let's say if your parents had you, then they just disappeared, right? Like I'm not saying that you killed them, but they just disappeared. Like, sure, you'd still exist, but like you wouldn't really grow up, right? You'd have to have another. And then it's even better is not only they disappeared, all parents in existence disappeared. So kids now just are them like having to learn.
No,
on
yeah,
their
exactly.
own
But at
without
that point, you would
any
learn
guidance.
and grow up. Like,
Right.
at that point, you would learn to become like.
You would be a different. Yeah, you would be different though than what you are now.
Yeah, but that's what change is about.
Yeah, true. You're right, but I mean, is it good or bad though?
That's all up to you.
Not necessarily.
It is though, because that's
something
just how
has
you
to
take it.
direct you. Something has to direct you, right?
I feel like you have the power to direct yourself and take things as you will, and that's all up to you. That's literally your choice.
True.
Let's go into
Or
the
is it?
epilogue.
Maybe you're being manipulated.
Maybe I'm manipulating myself, and then at that point, it's still my choice.
So we start the
goodness.
epilogue
Epilogue.
with Wax's point of view as he stares into a fire with a cold cup of tea next to him. Everyone else was celebrating the new governor, Aradel, who had absolutely no noble blood, as even the Lord Mistborn had been half noble. Steris kept people away from Wax as much as possible, and the wedding had been delayed. Wayne then comes over, using crutches since he had to heal the normal way without any stored health. He tells Wax that he's going to get everyone drunk because just having less working hours isn't going to fix everyone's problems. Wax asks Wayne if he's going to poison the whole town, but Wayne insists he isn't. Wayne then notices that Wax still seems quite down,
Totally.
so he tells Wax that if Leslie had been in her right mind, she would have wanted Wax to kill her, just like Wax would want to be killed if he went crazy and murderous. Wax doesn't respond as Wayne wanders off. So do you think Wayne's words are going to help Wax in any way, or do you think he's wrong that Leslie wouldn't have wanted to be killed, even if she was sane?
No, I think Leslie would have been. I still believe Wayne. Leslie would have wanted to be killed. I don't think she was insane. So
What's the question?
Just do you think Wayne's words are going to help Wax with the whole, like, Leslie would have wanted to be killed?
Leslie didn't want to die though.
Well, Wayne's saying, like, Leslie had gone crazy. If she had been in her right mind, she would have wanted you to kill her, like, if she went crazy. The fact that she went crazy and murderous, like, a sane Leslie wouldn't have wanted that for herself.
Okay, Leslie. We're talking Leslie as in Palm, right?
Yeah.
Palm.
Yeah.
As in like post. I'm like right before she got killed, right?
Yeah.
no.
We're talking about
What I
Palm-
think Wayne is trying
Palm-
to say is that the one he supposedly killed the first time, right? The
Yeah.
wife he had before she went crazy wouldn't want to go crazy and would have wanted Wax to kill her if she went crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
I don't either. That's what I'm saying. I think she would have wanted to live with Wax forever, crazy or not crazy.
So Waxon overhears Wayne speaking to a blonde girl, mentioning that he knows her dad invented the electric light bulb. The girl is extremely excited that Wayne knows of her father, and he compliments her inventions as well. She then says she has lots of other ideas as well, and Wayne asks if she needs some money to work on her inventions, and Wax stops listening. So what do you think about how Wayne was so traumatized by pretending to be this inventor guy when this girl said, you're the reason my dad died, that he's now like, I must go help this girl.
Mm-hmm. Good on him, I guess.
Like, he's helping, but he also got, obviously, like, very, like, traumatized by that whole conversation that he had with her previously.
Mm-hmm. Condra Wayne.
You know how the Conjure took the Lord Ruler and all that stuff as father and Vin as mother? Imagine your dad telling you to go let your like boyfriend kill you. Like, that's not. I'm
God.
still on that shit because like there's no way that was okay for the greater good.
The greater good. What is the greater good, Vignes?
Exactly. What is the greater good if everything in your life falls apart and at the end it doesn't really matter because you're not going to be the one living in it?
Mm-hmm.
We're getting political in a fucking fantasy book at this point, and I'm okay with it because they deserve it.
That's all. That's all we do in these Mistborn books. It's all political. What are you talking about?
Yep.
Okay, but at this point, it's me taking a stance because fuck him.
Fuck who are you fucking exactly?
I think he means Harmony.
Definitely not Says because he got nothing down there.
So eventually people start to leave the party, and Marassi wanders over to Wax. She shows him a spike that Bleeder had been using, stating the metal was unknown and definitely not one of her original spikes. Wax says he doesn't care about the spike, as Harmony had sent a Condra to seduce him. Marassi replies that the seduction had been Lessie's idea, maybe Wax's idea to some degree. Wax says Harmony would have known what would happen, and if he didn't, then he isn't any sort of god. Marassi just replaces the spike with an earring for Wax before wandering away. So what do you think about Marassi giving Wax a new hemalurgic earring? Do you think he's like actually going to ever talk to Harmony again?
I hope he doesn't ever, but he's going to.
Wait,
I already know it.
Marassi gave Wax a new earring so that he could talk to Harmony if he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but like...
She should have made it out of the new metal and gave him that.
I was going to say, do we know what type it is? Because...
No.
We don't know what type of metal it is. He just says that she put down an earring for him.
Okay, but it might not be the same type, right?
Yeah, we have no idea what the metal's made out of. What the earring is made out of. You can be fairly sure that it's hemalurgic in some way, so that he could talk to Harmony, because that'd be the only reason to give him an earring. But other than that, we have no idea what metal it is, because he doesn't really like it.
Fashion. It could just be for fashion.
I doubt that.
He's way into that. What do you mean?
Mm-hmm. So we switch to Marassi's point of view as she stops by the constable's office, wanting to pick up her copy of the Lord Mistborn's book on hemalurgy. She is surprised to find Aradel going through some paperwork. She goes over to him, saying that the governor should have better things to do than this. Aradel replies that he won't be governor for long, as it's just a temporary position, but Marassi thinks he's likely to win the election next month. Aradel states that he doesn't want the job, but Marassi replies that he'll be good for the city, and that they've already allowed people who wanted the job to try. So do you think Aradel will be a good governor?
I think he's gonna try.
I feel like, yeah, he will be. For the full 5 minutes, he's gonna fucking live.
Milan then wanders over, still in Innate's body,
be replaced by a Condra.
Milan asks...
Wait, before you continue, is that Condra that got fucking stabbed by Bleeder, or whoever the fuck was, still alive?
Still alive?
Yeah, they probably are fine. They probably just went back to the homeland and were like, I got stabbed with a fucking needle. It was embarrassing.
You think so? Because, like...
I think they're just hiding in shame.
Okay, but, like, how did the people kill them, then? How did they get hunted?
I think they would, like, use acid on them or something. Tenzin doesn't go into a lot of details about the hunting because he doesn't really want Vin to know about it at the time, so we don't get a lot of details about it. Yeah, because
he doesn't want her to know how to kill them.
Yeah.
It's funny, though.
I'm lying to you right now, but sure, let me tell you how to kill me for when you find out that I'm lying to you.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna tell you how to kill us, but it was a thing.
It's interesting, though, because if you think about it, if they did use acid, at that point, everybody's a chemist.
So Milan wanders over, still in Innate's body, asking how to tie her belt into a noose, as she had failed to fake hang herself in her cell. Marassi says she can't kill herself, as she's their main witness, but Milan replies that Harmony won't allow her to stand trial falsely, and that if they're so sure of their evidence, they can use it without Innate being alive. Aradel mentions that the nobles they arrested will wiggle out of their crimes somehow, and that means he'll have to become governor to make sure things go smoothly from now on, unfortunately. He asks Marassi who he should have take over his current position, and Marassi suggests Reddy, even though he doesn't like her. So what do you think about Meilon, like, refusing to pretend to be innate for, like, basically a fake trial?
I mean, just the presumption that they even made that, like, not assumption, what's the word? Like, thought that they even had that thought to do that.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's like, no, you obviously shouldn't have a fake, like, governor up there on trial. Like, if he's dead already. You just need to go with it.
I love the fact that she tried hanging herself.
She's just like, I don't know how to tie a noose properly.
How do people do this?
She's like, I was hanging there for like 15 minutes, and it just didn't seem believable.
And that she was like just chilling there, blinking, swaying side to side.
So Ariel then shows Meilon how to tie the noose and tells her that he'll cut her down in about 15 minutes. She says she can fool the coroner and to give her an opening before cremation so that she can escape and leave the governor's bones behind. Marassi then asks Meilon if Harmony can just tell them if the nobles are guilty or not, and also accusing him of doing horrible things to Wax. Meilon, however, asks Marassi what she would have Harmony do, lead them around like Palm claims he does, or do absolutely nothing at all. Meilon says that Harmony knows that whatever he does, whenever he does something good, something bad may come of it. He hurt Wax, but he knew Wax would be able to handle it.
Do nothing at all.
So you
Fuck
think
you.
that
Just
you
do
think
nothing
the
at
best
all.
you think the best thing would be to him have absolutely no interaction with anyone?
Yes! Let the world be!
Do you agree, Darkness? What do you think is the best course of action for Harmony to do?
I do agree, actually. Like, I understand you have a shit ton of power, but who the fuck dictates, like, that you
Who are you?
should
Yeah,
use
who are
it
you? God?
to affect other people?
I think it really depends on. We don't know
I
what
think-
Sazed has seen coming, so it really depends
true.
on what's coming. Like, if it's just like, yeah, like these like petty criminals or whatever, like you need to just let people do what they are. But like, if they're there's potentially like another shard getting involved. We don't know what horrific things the set could be doing to these women. Like, I think it really depends on how extreme the things that he's seen are. Like, there's a certain point where I feel like Sazed does need to step in, and we don't know yet if that is the case or not.
Alright. Question.
Mhm.
He has enough power, correct? He has enough power to remake the world, correct? Like,
He did at the start, yes.
exterminate. So he doesn't.
Well,
so
you know,
you're saying you
he
don't
he
think
does still
now?
have that power, but I think no, because he fully has the shards, unlike Finn. So yeah, so he does
Yes.
have the power. He had
So he
yeah, he has,
could create a life, right?
Mhm.
He could create life, a planet, and then watch it. And when it does inevitably do whatever the fuck you're talking about, like some horrific shit, I mean, it would have to be God-ending horrific shit for me to be like, yes, okay, I can understand you stepping in. If it's just humans killing another human, like, what is that really in the grand scheme of things?
Mhm.
Like, it has to be world ending. Like, you know, the only reason I gave Preservation a pass at manipulating Vin into her destiny kind of thing was that Ruin probably would have ruined the world.
Yeah, Ruin's
Like,
goal was basically to
completely.
kill all of humanity, like fully and finally, basically.
Exactly. And I mean, in some vein, I kind of agreed with Ruin in the fact that, like, yes, maybe they needed to wipe the slate clean, but the fact that I'm pretty sure Ruin didn't want to bring more back afterwards is the problem, in my opinion. Like, you weren't trying to wipe the slate clean to create something new. You were just trying to wipe the slate clean.
Yeah, Ruin
general.
wasn't saying
Like-
like the Lord Ruler's gone too far, life is terrible, we need to just start over. He was just saying, I want to destroy everything for the sake of destroying everything.
Exactly, and that's the only reason that I was like, okay, I can understand Preservation manipulating Vin from, you know, a child into being who she was. But the fact that, like, he has both shards, like, okay, sure, maybe another god's coming, that might be a world-ending thing. God versus God, man. Why are you bringing a human in to fight a god?
I think
Fight him yourself.
I think
It's
this might
not
be
like they don't have. Okay, but it's not like they don't have the power to do a God versus God thing.
Exactly.
Well, I think potentially if this is a God versus God thing, what Harmony has said before to Wax is the issue is that he has two opposing shards, and the longer he holds them, the less he's able to do. Because, like, the shards inside of him are basically fighting each other, and so he basically has to be completely neutral, and he just might not be able to fight off another
He's
shard.
not neutral. But he's not neutral. That's the thing. Like, he's not at all. He has chosen a side, 100%.
Yeah, but that's because he's saying. I think what he's saying is he still can at the moment, but it sounds like every decade or every like 100 years that goes by, he's slowly being able to influence things less. Like, it's going to be very interesting to see if Sazed is able to do anything in Era 3, or if he's like completely unable to act at all.
I don't know. I feel like he should just sit back, in my opinion. But
as I said, as I was going to say, I think this might be almost like a good question to return to at the end of the final book of Era 2, like at the very end of Era 2 of, do you think the results of the whole plot line of Era 2 was worth Harmony stepping in, or do you think he shouldn't have, and maybe things might have worked themselves out, even if he hadn't forced Wax? Like, Wax still seems like he was a good person and everything. Like, maybe Wax still would have gotten involved in the end.
Couldn't he have, instead of manipulating him like he did, like, I mean, I guess technically it's not really, it's all Harmony's fault. I don't give a shit. It's all Harmony's fault, no matter what. I don't care that
I really wonder why. I think probably one thing that that should have the real thing that should be discussed here is like, why could Harmony not just, because he's been speaking to Wax through this book, why could Harmony not just talk to Wax before Leslie died and been like, hey, there's like gonna be shit going down. I know you love it out here, but there's gonna be more important stuff happening in the city. You gotta go back. Like, you can come back to the roughs afterwards, but for now, you gotta go back.
Here's the thing.
Okay, not only that.
Put somebody there to give him. Oh, go ahead, Darkness. Sorry.
No, you go, because I feel like we have the same idea.
Okay, like, instead of the way he sent like Alcondra to be his bodyguard, instead of that, right? Okay, he's weak. Sure, great, awesome. You should be able to see. You say he can see into the future. He should have been able to see that Bleeder, or whatever name we want to give them, was going to fall in love with him at some point, and then just have been like, okay, great. I know this is going to happen, so tell him, let him know what happened. Like, be like, hey, I understand you have fallen in love with him. If he really loves you, tell him who you really are.
Okay, but I feel like he knew. Then. You know?
You feel like
not Wags. I'm talking about Harmony. He knew exactly what was going on between Bleeder and
Well, so yeah, there's definitely points where he could have stepped in. Like, he might not have known from the start, because remember, the way that they see the future, because Preservation explains this in Secret History, is they see like a million different options for what could happen with different possibilities. But as it got more and more likely that this relationship was happening, there's definitely points where he could have stepped in.
And can you tell me why one of those possibilities was not just telling her, oh, tell him to move to the city with you because you guys are really needed there?
Yeah, like, I think we really need to know what conversations that Harmony and Leslie had, because, like, if Leslie was literally just like, hey, I'm not gonna make him go to the city, even if it's for the greater good of everything, even if he would agree because it's for the greater good, like, it's like, okay, Leslie, get your shit together. But then also, like, Harmony could have just spoke directly to Wax. Like, we know he prays with his earring in. Just talk to him directly at some point.
I feel like she would completely understand, though, if he was like, you either have the option to move to the city or die.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you could stay with, like, being Wax's, like, wife if you do this, but, like, if you don't, I need to give him a reason to go back to the city. That's gonna be, like, him losing his wife. So, like, be his wife and support him, or just don't be his wife anymore.
Maybe
I still think they should have just, either Harmony should have told him, or Harmony should have told her, hey, go tell Wax who you really are, because, like, that's just gonna fuck him up in the end.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, because I think the thing is, like, Harmony should have just communicated better, like, with, like, the whole thing. Like,
he's about communication.
Yeah, like you were saying previously, like, he needs to, like, interfere less, but honestly, if maybe he'd interfered a little bit more directly, Wax could have just been on board with the whole thing and known about everything from the start.
Oh my god.
No, I mean, it's, in all honesty, he's trying to sit on the fence. He's trying not to be too in and not and
But
at the
he's
same time
already
trying
like
to be all in.
though.
Yeah, well,
Like-
because the thing is,
Yes.
you can see that Wax, like, after Harmony starts talking to him in this book, like, Wax is like, okay, you kind of manipulated me, but Wax is a reasonable person. He's all, up until he finds out that Lessie was a Khandra and Harmony made him kill her, and then she wasn't really dead type thing, like, even before all that, he was like, I'm okay with you manipulating me, because I see that this is for the greater good. Like, I get it, it's fine. Up until this point. So, like, he's obviously a reasonable person. Like, you could have talked to him a little bit more.
Yep, I agree.
Like, he obviously, like, his
Or at least
personality
have
is that
Leslie
he
fucking talk to
wants the best for, like, Elendel and for the world. Like, he's a good person. Like, you could have reasoned with him a little bit more. Like, he could have just been more on the loop.
I wonder how in depth she went into like the relationship prospect of it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like she's a Khandra. I'm assuming they don't really have the urge to do stuff, right?
But
You know what I mean?
You don't
by
know
stuff?
that.
Okay, but like, what's okay? I guess they all be fucking then.
Well, I
It
mean,
could
she
be.
did fall in love. She did fall in love, so maybe she does have that urge.
She obviously
Right.
at least has the ability for romantic feelings. We don't know if she has lustful feelings or not. Sexual
feelings?
urges,
Yep.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying though. But like, I wonder how like she was playing a part though.
How
You
far
know,
did she go?
And
Yeah,
that's
how far
just
did
like
she go?
that's
How
just
backward
like
did she go?
how far did she go to like not only go through with it, but to study that aspect of the human like urges, I guess you could say.
The question also is, did she ever sleep with the Lord Ruler? Because she was like hanging out with him for like 1,000 years.
I feel like the Lord Ruler was too busy really sleeping with people.
He was a
Uh,
very
also,
old man. What are you
I
talking
feel
about?
like well, it's confirmed that Khandra couldn't have children anyway.
Yeah, before. Now, I don't know about that.
Yes, Khandra definitely could not have children previously. We do not know if it's possible or not now.
He already had hella children. Technically, all the
Oh, no,
Khandra
wait.
were his children.
Yeah, true. Not really, but yeah, true.
They called him father.
Yeah, I know, but like a stepdad.
He's an adoptive father.
Yep.
Okay, but what if they all meant it accidentally? Like, not accidentally, but like, what if they all meant it like religiously?
Yeah, it was
Oh,
probably partially religiously, yes.
Father.
I'm sorry, Father.
My
Forgive me,
father.
Father. Praise the Father.
Anyways, let's finish off this epilogue. So Aerodel shows.
Epilogue.
Oh yeah, we read that. Okay, so Marassi then asks about Bleeder's spike, and Milan confirms that she and Harmony have no knowledge of the metal it is made of. Marassi had thought it might be made of Harmony's god metal, but Milan says that it is not from Harmony, and that may be why it was able to allow her to use allomancy and feruchemy when Khandra normally can't. Marassi realizes that the only thing that could stop Harmony would be another god, meaning this was another god's metal. Marassi wonders if this metal is from Trell, the god Miles 100 Lives had mentioned. So what do you think about this metal not being from Scadrial? Whether it's a god metal or not, it's like a metal not from this planet.
Obviously, I don't feel like it's this planet because the whole 16 thing. But
Yeah, I agree.
or wait, they only stated that it wasn't ruin or preservation metals. What if it's a combination of the two?
Well, that's what Marassi asked.
literally-
That's really what Marassi asked. She asked us if it's basically like a god metal of Harmony, and Milan says no, it is not.
Okay. I don't know how she could tell, but okay.
Well, Milan says she's spoken to Harmony about it. She says Harmony told her that he has no knowledge of this metal. So, like, Harmony himself has been
Apparently
like, I
Harmony-
don't know where this is
Clearly,
from.
Harmony has no knowledge of a lot of things that go on in this world, but
But yeah, what do you think about... So, we knew that Preservation and Ruin had god metals. What do you think about the fact that other shards could have god metals? And what do you think Mistborns would be able to, like, burn them?
Use them?
Yeah, like, do you
Yes.
think Metalborns could use them?
Mm-hmm.
probably.
As a Mistborn, I would know.
Oh my god, darkness. The
and
only
yes,
Mistborn
do you-
existing anymore.
Do you think this god, this potential shard that is interfering, do you think they are a shard that we know of or a shard we don't know about?
Well, Darkness already said that they think it's cultivation, and I kind of
I want it to be cultivation, but
Yeah.
also, what if Charles is just the like real name for what's his name? The bad guy from
Odium? We already know his name. His name is
Yeah,
Race.
Odium.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it like would it be like a do we know if he's working alone?
We know that he worked with someone to kill Ambition. I believe he worked with Mercy to kill Ambition. We don't know anything else about Mercy.
I'm gonna say it's a faction, you know?
Do you think there's like a faction of shards that are like trying to kill other shards or something? That's
Yeah.
what Odium seems to be doing. He was like killing a bunch of shards.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I feel like it's just we got factions and factions on like normal people, and now we got factions on like gods.
But if Trell is a vessel name, then we know that it cannot be Odium, it cannot be Honor, because we know Honor's name is Tanavast, and Tanavast is dead. We know that it cannot be Dominion or Devotion, because they're splintered, but also their names were Sky and... I forget the other one's name. We know it is not... Who else? Do we know any of the other names? We know it can't be Ambition, because Ambition's splintered around Threnody. So they don't have a vessel currently. They wouldn't have a... They're dead as well. I think those are all the ones we know the names of. I know that aren't around anymore. Oh, and we also know it's not Endowment from the Warbreaker planet, because her name, I think I revealed to you guys, was Edgley. Because those like special flowers they make the dyes out of on Warbreaker are named after her. Edgley's Tears or Edgley Drop or something like that. So it's not Endowment, it's not Dominion or Devotion, it's not Odium, it's not Honor, it's not Ambition, for sure. And Mythic, you said that you agreed that it might be Cultivation?
Yeah, I kind of want it to be, yeah. It'd be fucking great.
Yeah, we do not know Cultivation's name yet, I believe. So it is a possibility.
What are the gods that we know so far, though?
Pardon?
What are all of the, like, shard...
The shards
God
we
names
know,
that we know so far?
are Preservation and Ruin, who will become Harmony. We know Endowment, we know Autonomy, we know Dominion and Devotion, we know Honor, Odium, Cultivation, we know Ambition, and we know Mercy. I think
Okay,
that's
where was the...
which is 11 of the 16.
What is it? Who is it? Where's Autonomy from?
Autonomy is from the White Sand planet.
The what's it? What is planet?
The Sandbenders.
White Sand, the Sandbenders.
Oh, I want it to be that, actually. Can it be that instead?
You want it to be Autonomy?
That's who Trell is. Yep, Trell is Autonomy.
Okay.
Because I've never even... I love that place so much.
You want
And
her
that
to
would
be more
a great way
involved.
to, like, and that would be a great way to segue it on in.
hmm We also know from some of Chris's notes from Arcanum Unbounded that not Ambition, Autonomy has like hidden and like stopped passage onto the White Sand planet, so like that Chris can't go back home. She's been unable to get back to her planet. Autonomy's kind of like
Aw,
hidden themselves away.
Poor Chris. Poor Chris. Oh.
Anyways, we got one little tiny blurb left of the epigraph, which is, we switch back to Wax's point of view as he sits by the fire by himself. Steris wanders over and pokes at the fire, adding a new log to it. She doesn't say anything, just moves to sit next to him and places a hand on his. After a moment, Wax places his head on her shoulder and cries. And that is the end of Shadows of Self.
Oh, man.
So, my first question is, what did you think about this book overall? Did you like the plot of the
I
book?
liked Harmony in the beginning, and I hated Harmony in the end, so...
Did you like this kind of...
perspectives.
Yeah, did you like this plot line of, like, this, like, rogue Khandra trying to, like, take over the city, and then, like, the plot twist of, like, the Khandra being Wax's potential, like, thought to be dead wife?
And then he killed her again.
Yeah, then he kills her again, and now he's, like, pissed off at Harmony.
She deserved better.
I agree.
What do you think Lessie being Bleeder is going to do to Wax's faith and his relationship with Harmony moving forward?
What was the question?
What do you think that the whole Lessie situation is going to do to Wax's faith and his relationship with Harmony moving forward in the next book?
Hopefully it's going to shatter it and he's going to stop listening to Harmony.
I feel like
dumbass.
Harmony bad guy endgame.
Endgame bad guy.
So yeah, so you guys think that Wax is going to be not listening to Harmony in the next book?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think Trell is going to play a bigger role in the next book? Now that we potentially have a medal of Trell.
I hope so.
Most likely.
I hope we find out about Trell for sure.
Do you think that Meilon is going to continue to be part of our group of characters, or is she out now that Bleeder is dead?
I feel like she's going to continue to be a character, to be honest.
Wait, who?
Meilon, the Khandra.
Nah, she's gonna continue.
Malone.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you guys think she's going to stick around even though kind of her whole reason for joining the group is over with?
Well, yeah, she's already made connections to Wayne.
I mean, do you think Wax is going to
Yeah.
want her around if he's pissed off at Harmony?
Well, he doesn't really have a choice, does he?
I mean, I guess he doesn't. Also, what do you think the main plot of the next book is going to be?
Finding Trell and killing them.
Finding. Why was I gonna say finding Nemo? Finding finding
Nemo.
Harmony and killing him.
Yeah.
What's going to
That's
happen in
what
the
he
fourth
becomes
book
the hero.
then if they're killing a god in the next book?
New
Well, if
god
they
will
kill-
be formed. Trell will take his place.
That's funny. I was gonna say if Harmony's killed next book, or this, yeah, whatever next book, the one after that would be Charles coming next,
Mm.
Mhm.
which I really doubt they're gonna go after Harmony, but still, like, I want it to happen because like he should not be having that position, and he needs to get reported to like HR.
Did you have any other thoughts or theories before we end this episode?
I need there to be like, why couldn't they just have like a godly council?
God counsel.
Why couldn't they have like an Olympus situation?
Well, instead, the shards were all supposed to go to their own planets and not interact. They did not all do that, as we've seen, but they were supposed to all
'cause
have
they
their own
just-
planets.
They decided to, you know what? We're gonna do a little group chat and added little portals to their fucking whatever.
Well, the portals weren't the issue. It was the fact that, like, Ruin and Preservation chose the same planet. Dominion and Devotion went to the same planet. Honor and Cultivation went to the same planet. And then Odium decided to go, like, hang out with them. Like, there's a whole bunch of shards that were like, oh, yeah, we were supposed to do our own thing, and then we're just gonna have a friend with us.
Friend.
I mean, but wait, but cultivation or not cultivation, or not ruin and preservation.
Mhm.
Like neither one of them could really do anything on their own.
I mean, they could
Both
have
of them
life,
have to
but, like,
come together
they-
to make
they-
I
community?
feel like
well,
they
so...
couldn't because they were always fighting each other.
Well, no, so the reasoning behind Ruin and Preservation joining together is we learn in Mistborn Secret History that Ati, the person who took Ruin's shard, was a good person originally, and I think him and Laris, again, like, we don't know if they were a couple or just really good friends, but they were, like, really close to each other. And I believe Ati wanted Laris there to prevent him from going full evil. So that's why they joined together, and that's also why they created their own planet instead of going to a already, like, around planet. Because the thing is, Ruin and Preservation probably could have found their own planets that were already populated, like already were existing planets instead of creating their own, and just done their own thing
Right.
separately. It would have sucked, probably on both their planets, but they could have just had their own planets. Because that's what every other shard did. Ruin and Preservation are the
Midnight.
only ones who created their own planet. All the other people on the other planets were either there before the shards got there, or eventually ended up there through the Shadesmar and Perpendicularities. And we're like, oh, cool, a new planet. Let's check this one out.
Midnight. Does that mean that technically everyone on that planet is just their babies?
Kind of, yeah.
Lovely.
Everyone who is there that is not a world hopper is basically, the children of Preservation and Ruin. They were not children of Adonasium,
They're
like
just like
every
a big,
other...
gay, happy family at that point. Not so happy. Dysfunctional.
Yeah, they're a very dysfunctional family. But yeah, all other humans and even like the listeners and everything from Roshar, like all other humanoids in the Cosmere are
And the
all of
you mean the singers?
Adonasium.
The singers.
Yeah, the singers. I mean, the listeners and singers are all of them and all of the humans and everything. Like they're all technically of Adonasium. Their ancestors were around before the Shattering. Like they're way back ancestors. They are not technically of the shards. Only the Scadrians are.
Gotcha.
So we'll be starting Bands of Mourning next time. We're gonna do a preview episode as we always do with the prologue, but then we'll be reading chapters 1 through 5 of Bands of Mourning for our next full episode. So thank you to our Patreons, Hubris, Kaladin Dies in Book 3, and Kyle. We appreciate you guys very much, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Bye.